Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're cracking open a brand that's practically a summer staple, Nestea.
Oh, Nestea. I bet you think you know iced tea. Right.
You might be surprised because this story is way more interesting than you'd think.
It really is. It's amazing how often we just grab a drink, a snack, whatever, and never think twice about how it got there. But for Nestea, the behind-the-scenes story is wild.
Totally. So to get the full picture, we're diving into this article. It's called The Controversy Between Nestlé and Coca-Cola, The End of Nestea.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
And let me tell you, it's a roller coaster. Where do we even begin? I guess with the basics.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at its core, Nestea's story is a classic example of a joint venture. Two companies teaming up to chase a common goal. Sometimes it works out, sometimes not so much.
And in this case, we're talking corporate titans.
Right.
It's 1993, and Nestlé, the food and beverage giant, decides to shake hands with Coca-Cola, the king of marketing and distribution. Can you imagine a more powerful duo?
Seriously, talk about a power couple. You've got Nestlé with their product development, their knack for creating deliciousness, and then Coca-Cola, their marketing magic. They can get a product on every shelf on the planet. On paper, it was a match made in beverage heaven.
No kidding. But they weren't messing around, oh no. They didn't want just a piece of the pie. They wanted to dominate, to own the entire global ready-to-drink tea market.
Global domination, one iced tea at a time.
Exactly. And for a while, they did. I mean, really, think back. Remember those cool, refreshing Nestea commercials?
Genius, pure genius. That jingle, unforgettable.
I know, right? It's permanently stuck in my head. But it worked, right? Those visuals, the tagline, everything just screamed a refreshment. Nestea was the drink to have, especially on a hot day.
Absolutely.
It's incredible how those things get stuck with you. But it wasn't just clever marketing. Nestea was everywhere. They basically conquered the world, especially in Europe and Latin America, like one iced tea at a time.
It was a global takeover. They were unstoppable. But you know what they say about whirlwind romances?
Sometimes the honeymoon phase has an expiration date.
Right. And for Nestea, that's where things get really interesting. Just as they hit their stride, the rumor mill started churning. It's 2003. And whispers started circulating in the industry. Coca-Cola. They seemed restless.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying behind those sunny commercials and refreshing sips, there was trouble in paradise?
You could say that. Word on the street was that Coca-Cola was getting frustrated.
Really? What was the gossip? Spilled tea. Literally.
Well, not quite. But apparently, Coca-Cola felt that Nestle was moving too slowly, taking too long to make decisions. Especially in the fast-paced world of beverages, that can be a problem.
That makes sense. In the drink industry, you snooze, you lose, right? But what were they disagreeing about? It's iced tea. How complicated could it be?
Apparently, pretty complicated. The rumor suggested they had different visions for Nestea's future. Should they stick to the classic recipe, the one everyone knows, or branch out, try new flavors, appeal to those changing consumer tastes?
Ooh, juicy. So we have clashing visions, whispers of discontent, and all while Nestea is still this global phenomenon.
Drama. Total drama.
Right. It's like a recipe for intrigue.
Yeah.
But before we spill the tea on what happens next, let's pause and talk about these joint ventures. You said it yourself. Sometimes they're not always smooth sailing.
Oh, absolutely not. It's like any relationship, really. You've got two different personalities, different goals, different ways of doing things. Even with the best intentions, sometimes those differences clash.
It's like that old saying, can't we all just get along? But in the business world, getting along usually means staying ahead of the curve, right? And in the beverage industry, things were changing rapidly, weren't they? By the late 2010s, the beverage aisle looked a whole lot different.
Oh, absolutely. It was a total beverage revolution. I mean, suddenly everyone's talking about health and wellness, natural ingredients, less sugar. Even the way people were buying drinks was changing. Online orders, subscription boxes. It was a whole new ballgame.
It really was. I remember seeing all these new drinks popping up on my social media. Kombucha, sparkling water with every flavor imaginable. Even those fancy ready-to-drink coffees claiming to, boost your brain power or something.
Right. It was a wild time for beverages. And it wasn't just about the drinks themselves, Consumers were becoming a lot more aware of what they were consuming, reading labels, researching brands. They wanted transparency, the real deal.
Totally. And not every brand was ready for that shift. So we've got Nestea, this global giant, but they're dealing with this internal friction with Coca-Cola, and meanwhile, the whole market's doing a 180. So Did they see it coming? Did they adapt?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Spill the tea. What happened next?
All right, so picture this. It's 2024. Things between Nestle and Coca-Cola are still, well, let's just say tense. And bam, Coca-Cola makes a huge announcement. They're out. They're pulling out of the Nestea partnership, not renewing the contract, leaving Nestle to fend for themselves.
Whoa. That's a big deal, right? I mean, talk about a curveball.
Yeah.
What was behind that decision, though? Was it just the tension, or was there more to it?
It was definitely a factor, but it was also a strategic move for Coca-Cola. They were streamlining, focusing on their core products, their own ventures. Remember Fuse Tea?
Oh, yeah, Fuse Tea.
That was Coca-Cola's baby, and it was gaining traction in the market.
Right. So it was like they were saying, we're going to focus on our own winning team now.
Yeah.
But for Nestle, that must have been tough to swallow.
Absolutely. I mean, they had invested so much into building the Nestea brand, and now they had a choice. Give up or find a way to carry on solo.
Talk about a crossroads. What did they do? Did they throw in the towel?
No way. Nestle, they're fighters. They got to work, determined to prove they could make it without Coca-Cola. Started experimenting with new flavors, revamped their marketing, really tried to reconnect with consumers in this new, ever-changing landscape.
Wow, that's some serious determination right there. But, it makes you think about the people behind the brand, right? What happened to the Nestea team when all this went down?
That's such an important point. These corporate decisions, they impact real lives, real people.
It's true. We don't always think about it. But yeah, there are real people behind these brands, working hard. What happened to the Nestea team after the split? Did they all have to find new gigs?
Well, it wasn't like a mass layoff or anything. Big companies like Nestle usually try to handle these situations, delicately.
Right, that's true.
Some people probably moved to different positions within Nestle, maybe working on other brands, and others might have seen it as a chance for something new.
Yeah, a chance to shake things up a bit. So what about Nestea itself? Did going solo work out? Are they back on top, or are they still trying to find their footing?
That's the big question, isn't it? The million-dollar question.
So spill it. How's Nestea doing?
Well, to their credit, Nestle didn't just give up. They've been busy, releasing tons of new flavors, hibiscus iced tea, mango green tea, even some sparkling options.
Hibiscus iced tea. Now that's something I'd try.
Right. They're definitely trying to appeal to those health-conscious consumers we talked about, those looking for something different.
For sure.
Yeah.
But it's a tough market. Lots of competition. Did they manage to recapture that Nestea magic?
It's tough to say for sure. Changing people's minds takes time, and remember, they lost Coca-Cola's huge distribution network.
That's a good point. They're rebuilding from scratch almost.
Exactly. They're rebuilding, rebranding, really working at it. It's too early to say if they'll ever be as big as they once were.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. It really makes you think, though. Is this a cautionary tale about joint ventures, or more about how important it is to adapt in a constantly changing world?
I think it's a little bit of both, honestly. Joint ventures are like any other partnership. They come with their own unique challenges.
Right.
But I think the bigger takeaway here is that no brand, no matter how big or successful, can just coast on past success. You have to keep evolving.
You got to evolve or get left behind, huh? Even in the iced tea aisle. Wow. Well, this has been quite a deep dive. We've covered corporate drama, changing tastes, and the fight for survival, all through the lens of Nestea. Who knew iced tea could be so fascinating?
It's always surprising what you find when you dig a little deeper.
Absolutely. So next time you're reaching for a drink, maybe take a second and think about its story. You never know what you might discover. And hey, if you have any Nestea memories you want to share, maybe a favorite flavor or even another iced tea brand you love, let us know. We'd love hearing from you. Until next time, happy sipping.